All right, now all I have to do is figure out how to put. Is this it? Okay. All right, welcome everybody. It's Sunday night. Everybody else has their shit together. I don't. This is All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show. This is episode number 75, everybody. It's a milestone in broadcasting. It is episode 75. We are going to be talking about making an extension tonight with our special guest, Celestia and Diablo Bob. Before I get to those two gentlemen, let me introduce my co-host, who happens to be here. Leyrun is not here. Furied Fate, how are you?
I have chewing gum and my watercolors. So I'm
Chewing gum, water, and watercolors. Okay, excellent. Diablo Bob, you are one of our guests this evening. How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
Awesome. And Celestian, how are you?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. So animated before the show. The fucking show starts and he's pretty good.
Sorry, I'm looking up at stuff. So
okay, so I have up here just a blank screen. We might see different things, but basically these gentlemen are going to walk me through start to finish making an extension for Fantasy Grounds, and the particular one that we're going to be making is one that will allow experience points to be calculated to the next level inside the. Well, I guess I better show this. Yeah, didn't have my shit together, did I? But also, it will allow the DM only to be the one that can edit the field for the next level experience points, and that's good because players often go change, or not the next level, but the current experience points. Players won't be able to get in there if DMs don't want them to, because they'll fuck it up. Anyway, I probably said that all backwards, and now I can't even find out. What do we need here? We need show. All things fancy.
Are you looking for the working one?
No, I was looking for the Fantasy Grounds table to open it to show people what I was talking about, and then by the time I was done, I haven't got the thing open yet. So anyway, never mind all that. I'll just let you guys start what you're gonna do, and I'll follow along.
Well, I think the first thing you've already done is I sent you a blank extension. It's just it creates a directory. You unzip it directly in your extensions folder. It creates it's called blank extension, I think is the name, and then inside of there is a file called extension.xml. The first thing you want to do is open that up in your editor, whatever it is you're using.
Okay, so it's extension.
It's in a folder called blank extension in your extensions folder.
So your Fantasy Grounds app folder, extensions, blank extensions should be a folder in there.
It's I see. So the zip file is. I thought I did this already, but I guess not. So hold on a second. No, okay. Oh Jesus. Okay, hold on a second.
So just create a folder.
Well, I thought, didn't we just right before the show? I loaded this in here. It's called extension. What's it called? Blank extension, right? Where the fuck is it?
I don't know where you put it. I can't. Unfortunately,
okay,
I can't
well,
tell from the text file.
So here's the thing. I thought I moved it, and perhaps I didn't. So maybe it's still here. It is right here. Okay, hold on.
So when you right click on it, don't just there's options when it lists. When you right click for Win7zip, it'll say unzip into blah 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 /. So look for what says unzip into blank extension /, and that will make it put it in a folder, not just dump it wherever it is you're at.
Right. Okay. So I found it. So here's the extension. Open that. So here it is.
There you go. So I put some sample text in there to kind of give you an idea of what it is. On the name, this is stuff that I've kind of standardized on my formatting for the name. And this piece that says out there says 5e. This name is it shows up in the selection list when you're trying to when you're loading the campaign, the list of extensions. This is the name you're going to see. I try to organize them so that if it's 5e1, you put 5e in the front so that they're all alphabetically listed by 5e. If it's core RPG 1, you put a core RPG in the front, just so they're kind of organized a little better.
Right. I'm going to show people if this mouse will ever respond. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So is it okay if I share those links that you gave us?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I did that, so anybody could use them.
So
The last one is the completed extension, and the first one is the blank.
So that I've always wondered that. I've always wished that Fantasy Grounds forums had a standardized extension naming convention that people followed. Because as you go down here, here's one that has the small e. Not that that's a big deal, but then you go down and people had just named this anonymous linker, conversion checker. You know, these are all core RPGs, probably ones you did because it's all nice. And then, you know, people just, they're all over the place. And also the name, sometime you don't know what the fuck it is. Like I know what this universal module does, but if you only knew the name universal module, what the fuck is that? You know, you don't know. So I really, that's one of my wishes. Like, people wish for world peace and people wish for $1 million. My wish is that all extension makers in the Fantasy Grounds community had a naming convention that they followed. So good. I'm glad you're going over that.
Yeah. So, and that was why I mentioned it, because that's the most important piece in this as far as being able to find it. The other stuff, not super important to this particular, instructional thing. The only other piece that matters is if you're not writing this for 5e, if you look at that green comment there, it says rule set that this extension will work with. Right now it's set for 5e. If you're making one for 2e, it'd be 2e or Pathfinder, whatever their name is, you would put that there. If you want it to work for everything, you can just delete that rule set section piece entirely out, and any rule set that loads will list it as something that it can load. But whether it works or not, completely different story.
Got it.
The other piece, that announcement text, that's what pops up when you do load it, and you load the rule set when you first go in. It'll say 5e, blah blah blah, whatever it is you want to put in there, you can. That format that I put there is generally what I use. Set that to whatever you want. I generally stick a date, at least on the very first one. After that, I don't really pay attention to it that much. The comments down there are kind of what we need to do for what we're looking at. That first piece is probably the one we'll want to start with. So what you'll want to do is we want to create a directory in the blank extension folder called scripts. So look at that it says file equals scripts / dead underscore not so common .lua. See
Right.
that?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to create that directory and then put a text file in that directory called that, and then just change it to .lua.
So
Okay.
switch over to the folder, your extensions folder that you have.
Right here. Or right here, I guess. Which one? Oh, you guys can't see that, can you?
Yeah, right there is where you want to create it.
Okay.
It's where the extensions.xml is. Just create scripts right there.
Now, the key with the folders and the way that, I guess you could say the architecture, document architecture, whatever you want to call it, it normally mimics generally the way that Fantasy Grounds runs. So that way, if you have like a graphics or a token, there will be actually a token folder. Inside the token, you can have shared and host, things like that, just like in Fantasy Grounds. Just like the normal Fantasy Grounds, like modules and the actual rule sets and stuff like that. It's just kind of a best practice, so that way, if somebody else is going through, they know where to find things, and also so that Fantasy Grounds kind of sometimes knows where to find things.
Right. Okay.
Can you explain that better, Celestian?
No, you're good. You're good. I just wanted to go to the next piece where you open up that file that you just created. And we can sit here and make you type that all out, but I'm going to paste it in the Discord. So if you want to just copy and paste it once you open it, you want to open Notepad.
Okay, you're gonna paste it in the. I gotcha.
So is capitalization, or is this case sensitive, like for the scripting and
Yes, depending on where you're at, it absolutely will matter. The XML, unless you're calling variables, or you're naming something that's a variable, or you're sourcing something that's a variable, it's a little more forgiving. But if you use the text that he's going to paste in there, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but at the very top there's exp, and it's called camel casing is what that is. The way I case that, lower exp and then capital N, and everything else is lower. They call it camel case, but it's just kind of a format style for variables. But if you don't reference it that same way, that variable is not going to be there. If you access it with all lowercase, it'll say, no, that's a nil variable. We can't get to it. So I wanted to explain what these are. This is a table. It's a table of the numbers. You probably recognize it if you're a 5e person. It's the list of the XP needed for each of those levels. The first one is 1, and the last one is 20. And we need this so that whenever you level up, it knows what, when it says, I know you're level 2, so I'll look at the table and say, what do I need for the next level? We'll grab that and stick it in there as the XP needed. So what we're doing right here is, this is a, John calls them global scripts, so I've kind of stuck with that same thing. So what this is we can assign a variable to this script so that we can access it from any other point that we want to. And you can stick this, you can do this different ways, but for this particular case, I thought it was easier.
Okay.
What's the CRLF that's popping up there? Is that
Carriage
just
return.
Control line feeds. He's got
okay, he has that turned on. Okay.
Right, so if I didn't have those on, you would not see them, which is where the fuck.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So yeah, the main thing here is that your table is always in brackets like that, a little squiggle bracket. That always defines tables, messages, stuff like that. So that's programming wise, as you go through, that's an important thing to know, is what defines a table and a bracket.
Okay, so so bracket at the beginning
and a
bracket
message
at the end. Sure bits, thank you, Furied.
The stuff with the dash and then the green text, those are comments. I'm pretty liberal with comments. I mean, that one, normally I would have put a 1 for every single one, but it's pretty obvious. Top one is 1 and the bottom one's 20. But so if you're good with that, Rob, we can go back to
you
your
guys, hold on a second.
extensions.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Ida,
switch to the tab.
We can hear you. Can you?
File.
Yeah. Okay. I had to just. I didn't know that she could be heard.
++.
So go where now, Slushin? I'm sorry.
Is Rob not talking at all? Oh, I'm not hearing him.
My bad. You guys can't hear me now?
Either.
His mic's muted according to Discord.
Oh shit! Is it muted?
Sorry.
There. Okay.
I
How
can
about
hear
now?
you now.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Ida was on the phone and she didn't know that we could hear her, so I was trying to tell her to. Fuck off, I think is the phrase. Okay, so go where now, Solution?
Go back to your notepad, and you should have two tabs. One is the XML, and one is the Lua. You want to go to the XML one, the extension XML? There you go. So the section that we just did is, and I can't really, that text is so garbled, I can't tell. The one that we just did for the data not so common,
yes.
We want to uncomment that. So what you'll do is, if you'll select that line.
The whole line?
Yeah, and if you guys use Notepad++, you can just right-click it now and say uncomment down the bottom.
I don't see uncomment.
Bulk uncomment, maybe.
Oh, block uncomment?
There you go. Yeah. Sorry, I can't read your text.
Okay.
And so what that does is it makes it to where it's not commented anymore. And you can do the same thing if you want to just block a whole section of text and then comment it out.
That's cool.
That way.
Nice.
So what you've got there is you can see the data not so common is the name. That's how we'll be referring to that EXP needed variable. So to get that, you would do data not so common, in that particular case, dot EXP capital N needed. And what that would do is it would return that whole table that's in that list. And then what we do is we just iterate over that list or access it directly to, a single point in the array. And you'll see a little bit more of that when we get to the XML for the character sheet.
Now, I'm sorry, was I supposed to change this, or is it going to remain data not so common?
No, you're good.
Okay.
And if you want to change it, you could change that particular name. You can change it to whatever you want.
Right, but
So you like that.
I'm following along and I'm listening to what you're saying, but you have to pretend I'm like a 4-year-old. I know absolutely. I'm like lost right now. I have no idea what's going on in here.
Okay, so what you're doing here is you're identifying that there's a script that you want the extension to include and look at. When it loads and says, hey, this is a script, the name is actually a shortcut if you want to actually call out a function within that script or an asset like a table or something like that. Then your file is just the file location.
Okay,
That's all that
so
this is doing. So if
got
you
it.
have like another Lewis script, or if you have like an XML like below, you actually need to include the file or identify it as a script. If you want to say have your Rob Tui little icon thing pop up with the announcement message, there's actually a specific call out for icons and other assets like that. Any asset that you want Fantasy Grounds to identify when you load the extension and first load as either a shortcut or an asset, a usable asset, you need to identify the architecture here.
Okay.
And I do not know why, but that is super clear right now. Is it clear for you guys too?
Yeah, it just unpixelated.
I wonder if it's because it just sat there and not moused over to a whole bunch, and I don't know. We'll see. So the other piece we want to start on is the include. One thing he was talking about is we want to include a source XML file. So that include line down there where it says entry to include an XML, we're basically going to create that as well. So what you'll want to do is create another directory under your blank extension called campaign.
I'll kind of do after we create these files. I'll kind of explain kind of in the process of programming of coming up with an idea to getting here where it falls in. So let's just
before you get too far, quick question. Are those capitalized?
Yes.
That may matter. I don't ever do that, so I'm not sure how the script will do. But we can change the script, and we can change the script to where you can use uppercase if you want to do that.
No, that's fine. I can change them to. I just always in Windows. I always capitalize all folders. That's
fine. That's fine.
But they're small.
And if you prefer that, you certainly can. Where it calls out the pass, you just change it to uppercase C and
got it.
And
okay.
S, and you'd be fine. Okay. So go into the campaigns folder and create a file and
this one.
You didn't copy paste it like the other one. Yeah, that one. The whole thing, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so you want to open that one up as well? So this is where it's going to get a little
crazy.
And it's not going to be that I'm going to sit there and have you type all this out. I'm mostly going to walk through and explain what it's doing because it's really difficult to understand without, I don't know, maybe Bob, maybe you have a different way to approach this, but what I was going to do is paste in the working XML and then kind of walk through what we did, showing the original character classes, window class, and then showing what we're inserting and replacing and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Do you have a better idea?
Yes. So this is kind of like where I was saying it's kind of going to show you or explain where in the process it is. So we obviously have, a desired outcome. So what I personally do is I actually first go and I find, kind of have an idea of like what I want to look at or what I want it to do, what I want it to look at, look like, stuff like that. And if it's directly involving something like the character sheet or something like that, I personally go out and I look at the character sheet.xml and find the section that I actually want to edit. So that way I know what the callouts are. I know what already exists there, stuff like that. So that way I know what part of the character sheet I'm messing with, and I can basically look at directly there. if there's anything I'm messing with, so I'm not jacking up something else. Now, I'm also a hobbyist programmer. So to me, obviously it looks different, than to somebody who's a professional programmer.
Well, that is exactly the way I start too. So that's good explanation. What he said is like if I don't even know where it is in the code or in the XML, if you load up just like what you did, load up the campaign, go into 5e, go to the section where it's at, and you say that you see whatever the text is around it. Like if it says classes or you mouse over it and it has a tooltip of a specific text, you can search for that text, find out what variable it's using to insert that in, and then search for that variable name to figure out exactly where it is in there. And that may be a little more in the weeds than most people will want to get, but that's the easiest way to find a specific point.
Well, this, we can kind of point them directly to the file, but this would probably be a good learning experience for everybody, including him, to actually just go to the actual the file, open it up, and find the exp needed portion, just so that way he can see.
Yeah, why don't you
Okay.
look at it in the character sheet first in Fantasy Grounds.
So, okay, I don't know why this. Weren't we in there already? Okay, hold on. Let's just go to the 5e rule set.
Sorry, I know it's a slight delay, but I know from my experience explaining anything programming wise to Rob, he'll get lost unless we show him why we're doing what we're doing before we do it.
I'm somewhat of an idiot.
You're not, man. You got this. You got this.
If I didn't have 700 modules, Fantasy Grounds would open much faster. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of the way my brain's
Just create a character.
Yeah, okay.
And look at a character sheet. Yeah.
It all out. Oh shit. Okay, I'll create a new one. Okay, here we go.
Stick one character, class, and race on it, just so you can have what it looks like. Doesn't matter.
Okay, class and race.
Okay.
All right. Now go ahead and click on your
Type-
level.
Type /save first before you do that, and then do it again.
Okay, now something that I do when I'm messing with extensions is what I'll do is in the chat, I'll type /save, drag that to 2, type /reload, I drag that to 3, and /console, and I drag that to 4.
Yeah, I'll do all three of those. I don't put them there, but yeah. I try to get reload away from the other ones because I'll accidentally hit that sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so on the screen that you have there, you can see the portion that you want to edit, right?
You mean like XP and
Next level.
Right.
What you want to edit is next level. So that way as they level, it's going to automatically populate there, right?
Right.
Okay. So, and then the other thing is how are you going to trigger that? That is always the next thing logically when you're designing a program or something like that is how are you going to trigger it? How is it going to automate? So in this case, we want to automate it when total level changes. It is total level, right?
Right.
So when that changes, we want the next level to update. So that's how we're going to, that's basically what we're going to look for is we're going to look for next level and total level in the character sheet.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right. So now let's go ahead and find it in the character sheet. So go to your 5e folder. So before the stream, we had Rob copy over a 5e rule set, and I believe a core RPG rule set.
No, we didn't
And
do core RPG.
okay, so just 5e rule set,
Okay.
and unpack that. It's just a zip file, just like all mods and other extensions and stuff like that. Unpack it into a resource folder, so that way he can actually go in there and look for what he needs to.
Okay, so where am I going here?
All right.
So you want to go
Celestine,
to
do
the
you know?
campaign? Yeah, I
Okay.
know. It's campaign, and then the folder or the file is character sheet underscore main.xml. Care sheet. Sorry, not character sheet.
Okay, record underscore care underscore main.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, that must be
Okay.
it.
Yes.
All right. So there we are. We're in there.
So
Okay,
I would
so-
collapse all your XML stuff. Do you know how to do that? And do Alt 0.
Okay.
Type Alt 0 while you're in. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Now then expand just the root. Hit the plus to the left of it. And now you have just a list of all the window classes. Makes it a little easier to search. Go ahead and do your thing. You're going to have him search for.
Yeah, I was just gonna say hit
classes.
Control F, and the first thing is basically a unique word. In this case, search for need or needed.
Okay.
Okay, so EXP needed. So we're gonna go ahead and expand that class back out.
Okay. Like that. Oh, did I lose people? What happened?
You guys got awfully quiet.
Yeah, Bob's.
Sorry.
Okay.
He's showing.
Oh, you know what? Because I alt is my mute key, and you guys had me do alt something, and it muted me.
Alt 0. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll have to just keep an eye on that.
Okay. So you're gonna go ahead and expand everything again.
Expand everything again.
Well, yeah. So you have your basic. So it says basic number, name, EXP needed.
Right.
So this is it has your care tooltip, XP needed, stuff like that. So this actually I'm trying to find the window class.
The window class that he's looking for, he's already in. It's right. If you scroll up a little bit, Rob,
scroll up and it says
see the
window class.
Yeah, it's care sheet underscore classes. That's the name of the class that you're looking for. And that's what we're going to be tweaking.
Yes. So the EXP needed is the section that's going to be edited. And if you scroll up and you find the window class that it's in, because each little chunk of the character sheet and all that stuff have window classes, and there's sub windows and subframes and stuff like that. Don't get all hung up on that. Right now we're looking at the window class because that's the main target that you're going to be targeting in your script. Does that make sense?
So as of about 30 seconds ago, I'm just now listening to you to follow instructions. I have I personally have no comprehension, or I have no fucking clue what any of this is doing. So
okay.
I
disregard
don't know
what a window class is and stuff.
Okay, so just the reason I want to tell you guys that is somebody watching this video later, they're going to get lost. They're not going to know, that's why I was interested in doing this show, is because I thought I was under the very false impression that you could just come on the show and it would be like 20 minutes and you guys go, oh, here's how this function works. You plug that in, you tighten it up with this, you make sure the variable's right, and then you run it and it works. I now see that people kind of need a background in making Fantasy Grounds extension before they can even jump into this. It doesn't seem like something you can just dive into. Now, if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm really overwhelmed right now, and I don't even know what the hell's going on.
Okay, so if you have an understanding of basic programming and stuff, you can muddle yourself through it, but you have to be very, very persistent, and you have to, like in a previous episode, I provided a link to a Lua programming Lua web page and all that stuff. So you basically need to start learning parts of Lua and also learning the parts that are in 5e and Fantasy Grounds, like the different call outs that they have created that are scripts and stuff. But you do not necessarily need to already have a background in XML or Lua to really get into it. It's going to take some effort at the beginning until you learn what you're doing.
Got it.
So as for right now, don't worry about what window class is. I'm just trying to show you how to find the name of the thing that you're going to be editing.
Okay.
So you found exp needed. We scrolled up to the main chunk of the care, record care main. The main chunk, which is the window class in this case,
Right.
is care sheet classes. So you found your main chunk, you found your specific thing that you're going to be editing. So now we can go back to scripting side.
Okay. Which is
So I've in the Discord chat, there is an XML block in there, and you can, if you would rather, since you're a little overwhelmed, feel free to just copy and paste that in there. We can walk through explaining that. I think that may be a little less.
okay.
And put that in the care sheet _ replace whatever one you made.
Changed.
Yeah.
Care sheet main changed. Okay.
Yep, that one.
All right. So that's in there.
So what that is if you'll kind of scroll down, the top piece you can see where we spoke about the window class, and what this is doing is it's going to take the data that we want that is not in there, or if it's in there, we're going to modify it. And what we're going to do is we're going to change it to do what you want, which is, from you said you wanted to be able to look at the XP needed field and it be auto-populated whenever the person leveled up.
Right.
So the code there does that. I'm not going to really go into explanation of that because I don't want to overwhelm you. There is a little bit of XML in there because of this portion is in the XML.
I would like to point out one thing: the merge specific part. So there's different types of merge and merge rules and stuff like that. There's join, replace, delete. Is there delete? There's different rules. Join means, yeah. So join means basically when you load it, load what's already there and then also include this file. Replace means don't load what's there, load this file instead.
Okay.
Delete means just get rid of it. We don't need that data.
Got it.
So what this is doing inline replaces and inserts, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look. 2 replaces.
I believe so, yeah.
So what we're doing is that section where it says number, character level, and then name equals level. There is a section in that other class, that care sheet classes you were looking at, that has this name equals level, number entry. And for our purposes, it didn't function. So what we're trying to do is we're replacing it with this, so we can add this script code where you can see the script sections. All that between there, I don't think there was any piece is in there at all on the basic one. So what
the
this
name
is
equals level, that's specifically calling out your total level in your character sheet. So just pointing that out.
Yeah, it's not per level on the classes.
Testicle Tuesday.
5 even does it, but as far as the total level, yeah, that's what that is. The code there, it just looks at what the current level is, sees if it's above 20. It does some what I call sanity check. If it's above 20, we're going to make it equal 19. If it's below 1, we're going to make it equal 1. It should never happen, but I like to put sanity checks in my code. That's all that first couple of lines does. The next piece is where we call out to that global script we made. What we're doing is in the window that we're in, we're setting the XP needed value manually, and we set that value to that data not so common XP needed. And so we know in level is the level that we are. So if we're 5th level, we want to look at this, what's the XP needed for 5th level plus 1. And that data not so common .xp, that's what that does. So it'll insert that value right into the number value for you.
Okay, so to break that down a little further, Rob, for you, scroll back up if you would. Okay, so first, you have two functions here, on and net. That means when basically that will run all scripts or anything when this extension and this script is first loaded. It only runs it once, and that is it. So this is how you, like, basically when you would first bring up your exp needed, how it would actually auto-populate it right there, even if you didn't have the extension previously. And what it says is basically run the script that's right below it. The script that's right below it is on value change, because when it changes, you want it to change the value, right? So like when you level up, it changes. That's kind of like your trigger that you're going for. So you kind of keep it with the naming convention. Now, sorry, Celestia, I'm just kind of explaining if somebody was trying to go through and find these things and build this from scratch, kind of logically how they would go through. So local and level. Local, that's basically just saying inside this function, I wish to call a variable or create a variable that only exists inside this function. So local says if it's inside of an if statement, it only exists inside that if statement. If it's inside a function, it only exists inside that function. You know, it's local to wherever it is and whatever level it's in. If you do not want, if you want to basically be able to be called out outside of the extension or the script, you just remove local and create a new name, like n level. So local n level is creating a variable called n level. And then it says equal get value. Okay. So whenever we say, hey, we want to use this variable, its function is just going to go and retrieve a value, okay, of wherever it's called at. So, and then after that, it's basically just providing the two if statements are providing your conditionals of, if the total level is 20, then n level equals 19. If the n level, if the n level is 1, then n level equals 0. That's a quick down and dirty explanation. There's a little bit more going on. If you read through the Lua scripting stuff, you'd kind of see kind of more what's going on. But logically, that's kind of what's going on. Then below the two if statements, you have this long line. And what this is saying is in the window that you're in, which is your care sheet, whatever, .exp needed, which is your actual field that you found, you want to set the value to something. And that value that you're setting is inside the table, data not so common. And the table that that's the script file, data not so common, that you defined in your
Right
extension
here, this one,
thing.
right?
Yep. And then your table is called exp needed, hence your .exp needed. Okay. So that's, you're saying, look in this file or take this field, set a value, look in this file, look at this table. And then for your actual value is your n level plus 1. Because if you're level, say if you're level 3, you don't want to show it the experience to get to level 3. You want to show it the experience to get to level 4.
Right.
So your n level plus 1 right
Got it.
there. So that's what that script is saying logically.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it
then
all
below
makes perfect sense to me what it does. I think what gets overwhelming for me and probably for some other people is knowing how to format all that and knowing, like, if you said to me, hey, you know what you should do? Just write a function that checks to see if the level's above 20 or below 1, and then go check the value in the table to see what number should be returned for the level above that. If you said that to me in English, which totally makes sense, I would have no way of knowing how to do any of this. Like, I get what it does, but I have no way. I mean, to me, in order to be able to pull that off like you guys have, you'd have to learn these languages. There's no other way.
Yeah, you certainly, there's a lot of things that you can glean from just reading the forums. But there's certainly stuff like that. You will have to have some kind of understanding of at least basic programming. The thing is, though, is there's so many tools these days, and I'm telling you, I knew absolutely nothing about Lua until got started with Fantasy Ground. So it's anybody can do it. You just, if you want to, you go do a search on Lua, and then if do a search for LUA space if. There will be a ton of links that'll explain every single way that you can use if then else.
Okay.
And then you can kind of see that they'll walk through even super. I mean, this is probably not the best basic thing because it's also in the middle of XML. So that if in level thing kind of looks weird because it should be greater than sign and less than sign, but it's in the middle of XML. So I had to use those instead of,
Right.
because if you
Yeah,
use the
I know
greater
about
than
that.
sign there, it'd break.
Yeah,
Um,
I know why the reasons for that is. Yeah, these greater and less than, even though equals works, but those don't.
Isn't that the CHR code or whatever it's called?
Yeah, it's because in yeah, I mean I you don't have to explain that to me. I know why that's happening.
So that's actually a good thing to know. If you're placing the script inside of an XML file, you have to, for special characters and stuff like that, you have to follow the XML rules. If you're in the .lua script file, you have to follow the .lua rules.
So if one of the things that I used to do early on before I figured out I knew what was going on here, because I didn't know what this was, I would just have an external script and shoot it to that instead of do the script section, that script block where it says bracket script and then slash bracket script. I used to take that whole section out and put it in a file that was something.lua, and then you can do that instead of doing a full script. You would do script and then space file equals and then point it to the file. But you don't really necessarily do that, and that may be too far in the weeds again. But it's something that if you've got a lot of code, you need to do that. You don't want to throw all that kind of code in the middle of an XML file.
Right.
So logically, where we are, we've identified, hey, when it loads, run the script. We've defined what the script does, what we want it to do. So now we need to basically add it to basically make it actually do what it's supposed to do. So attach it to our exp needed thing. And that's what this XML below here is actually doing, is it basically is doing your overwriting the exp total needed or exp needed total, stuff like that. This is basically the actual XML chunk that you're editing, looking at, and triggering your script with.
Okay.
So
That's it.
yeah, so anchored, that one is still kind of a mystery to me at some points.
The only other section that I'm not going to walk through the anchoring it to the XML, and I guess maybe we should, but the other part that I want to cover before we get too far is the next section, which is another piece that Rob. There's two things that Rob wanted, and that was be able to have the XP needed show up, and then users not be able to change their stuff. It's gem edit only. As far as the XP value itself, and so if you look at that number drop add where it says name equals exp, that is the exp field on the class. And what we're doing is you can see that merge rule equals replace. We're replacing the existing rule with this one. And all we did is we copied this section. You don't even have to come up with all this on your own. I copied the whole section from there, punched it in here, and changed two things. I added the merge rule replace, and then down there right below the tooltip section, I added gm edit only slash. What that does is it makes it read only to the player. They can't get in there and edit. The only person that can is the host of the campaign. He can go in there and change it to wherever he wants. And you can do this in other places too.
So when we actually looked at the XML for your character sheet and we found the exp needs and stuff, that's where he found this. This is, that's what he's explaining is.
Yeah,
this is just
GM
a
edit
copy
only.
paste chunk
That
from
seems
there.
like a cool thing that's universally used in the whole program, but I would have never known that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, there's another one that's read only. Whether you necessarily need it or not, but if you want to have a number show and not have somebody, or a text show, anything show, and not be able to be edited, you can use a read only. If you want to programmatically change it but not allow users to edit it, you can do that.
Got it. All right.
So you got your XML. Let's see. I believe we have everything we need to go ahead and save your files.
Okay.
Make sure that you save your files. God knows I've done that enough times where I don't click
Right.
save and I reload it and it just gives me the big bird. I'm sure Celestine
Uncomment
can.
that section. Go back to the extensions.xml. Down at the bottom, do the uncomment to the section that we
file.
added.
Right.
Yeah, the whole line. Yeah.
Click save.
And make sure the names match the care sheet main underscore. As long as they're the same, you're good to.
Care sheet main changed, and care sheet main changed. Yeah. Okay.
Also, if you capitalized the directory in your extension folder, make sure that in your extension.xml that your address has the capital letters as well.
Right.
So if
and
it's
I
capital
think
campaign, make sure it's capital.
I have smalls in both the files and the folders.
All right. So it should work. Should be good. Okay. So I believe we've created our extension. We saved our file. We did our Lua script with the table. We went into the XML and said, "Hey, go ahead and replace this stuff."
Before you go back into the extensions.xml first.
Extensions.xml.
Yep. Go to the top part where I told you the piece that showed up in the. Change that to something that you want to see there. That 5e dash. Put whatever after the dash you want to be there. Just put some so it looks different because you've already got the finished one in there, and I don't want them to be confused.
Extension alert.
Something like that.
Yeah, there you go. That way you can know for sure it's yours.
Okay.
And make sure to save it.
Link it, lock it, load it. Okay.
Okay, now in Fantasy Grounds, we're going to go ahead and test it out.
Okay.
So return to your initial load screen. So don't close program, just return. Yep. Click load. And your extensions, look for your extension. Wait, nope. Sorry, you have to actually restart Fantasy Grounds because Fantasy Grounds only reads the extensions in the extension folder on load.
Okay.
So
now we just to be clear to the audience, we have not zipped it up and made it an ext file. We're operating the extension out of the raw folders and files.
Correct. They have added that. I forgot which version of Fantasy Grounds that they added the ability to edit the extension while not being in a .ext. It's rather nice that they did that.
I don't see
but
it.
sort of like with modules.
5e, we named it 5e-xp extensions, right? XP, what did we say it was? 5e dash next level XP. So yeah, still don't see it.
So
I wish I could read your screen.
what's yeah, I wish I could too. Go back to the folder where the extensions.xml is first.
Okay.
And what's the path to that file? Is it extensions / blank extension?
So the path is extensions. The next folder is _ blank extension. The next folder is tilde blank extension.
Yeah, that's not the
That's
way.
why.
You want to take that data in all three of those files and move it up one folder.
Okay, let's try that.
And then you can get rid of the other one.
Stupid Windows. Serve Microsoft. Okay, I'm gonna close that. Now I'm gonna open again. Okay.
Link it, lock it.
Link it, lock it, because Fantasy Grounds does not recognize the extensions until you. Oh snap! There it is. 5e. Okay, let's do it. This is all very exciting, everybody. Jared, are you ready to make an extension?
I'm just like holding my breath because I'm just praying that it's not going to crash on you.
And then I'll melt down.
Now, here's the other great. Okay, so we'll look at this and then I'll say what I need to say.
Okay, so let's go to the guy I made, which was what, this guy?
Normally, what I do is when I'm using a
Amazing.
test character, I just grab his portrait or whatever and I throw it down in a hotkey as well. So that way, when I load it, I don't have to bring up the PCs and reload. I
very
can just
good.
click the hotkey.
Okay, let's use this guy as my character from. Okay, let's do it. See, like that? Right, like that. So now here we go. It's 300.
Level them.
Level them. Boom, 900. Boom, 2700. Choose a fucking thing. Let's do it. And 65 and 14,000 and 22,000. Okay.
Now, because you want this to happen when your players join and then your players' characters, join your same game that you're in right now
and
as
try
a
to
player.
Try to mess with that, and it won't work.
This is a step that I actually really had an issue with at the very beginning. Is I would get it all working, everything's great, and then I would join my own game as a player, and everything would break and error out and everything else.
So one thing I do want to mention is the XP needed field is not GM edit only. I did not code that. I mean, you certainly can go in and do that and add it to it. The XP field is the only piece that we made GM edit only. So I just wanted to clarify that
because the total experience there might have been some have.
Confusion.
Yeah, that's right. What we wanted was, yeah. So they could mess with this one, but it wouldn't really matter if they messed with it because that's not as important as I erased my XP. What was it again? Nobody knows.
Because as soon as they bring, reload it, it's going to overwrite whatever they do for the EXP needed.
Right.
So that type of thing. So just load any character, like random character, for your player. Now, this is a key thing especially when dealing with things with character sheets. Anything that the player may own or interact with is always test it as a player as well, because that's when you're going to find out if things break.
Okay, so as a player, I'm going to level them up. It didn't work. Oh, because you know why? Hold on a second. Jesus Christ. On these fantasy grounds, I've never played this game before. I've never used this software in my entire life. I don't know how to work it. It's not...
Rob.
I'm somewhat funny sometimes. If you know when I'm the funniest is when I'm mad. If I'm mad, I get really funny because I'm so mad.
I tell you, man, I love your rants. You make me just laugh.
Okay, so there we go, and I'm leveling up. It's working great. So now I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna change this 34,000 to like 18,000 million, and it's not gonna let me do it. I can't get in it. It won't let me in because I'm not.
Now change your EXP needed.
Oh yeah, I can change that.
Now level up.
Bam! Back to what we need. Now, if I go over here as the GM, I can turn... you piss me off. You have 0 XP, fucker.
That would suck.
But yeah, but then if the player, I can't... Oh, I was over here now. But it doesn't matter. If I level up again, it's all the same. Okay. Yeah, this is awesome, you guys. That's pretty... And so, by the way, the prize for the show is we're going to make this available to everybody. Because I know DMs want this. I know DMs want this because it's going to be cool. So just to recap, everybody, again, automatically, it's going to, when you level up the character, it's going to put the next level XP there. And then when you guys are awarding XP from the party sheet, giving it, where the fuck? Oh, as the player. Okay. Nobody panic. Nobody. Realize Rob doesn't know what he's doing. So let's say I award, 10,000 XP to the party. So that gets awarded. Uh-oh. Did that not work?
Did you break it?
Oh, no, you know why? Here's what happens, everybody. The fucking player has to be in the party. Jesus fucking Christ.
Do you know how to...
I don't.
There's a guy that does videos that shows you how to do these things.
I don't know. He's probably an asshole.
On YouTube.
There's a college that teaches you how to do that properly.
Okay, so award 10,000 and come over here now. He's got his 10,000, but can't mess with it. I can drag it all around. I can put it in the chat.
Stream. Thanks for the
But I
cheer bits.
cannot change the number. Oh, I can change that over there. Ooh, that might be a thing. Cheer bits, thank you. Drake takes, thank you. Let's just see. If I click here, see, okay, my cursor's there. If I click here and try to edit it, no, it's somehow, yeah, somehow it was. I must have ended up clicking there, yeah, because if you click there, it'll highlight it, and then you can change it and mess with it. But it doesn't really matter if a player fucks with that, because...
Now that you've edited it, go ahead and close that window, and then open it back up.
Ah! How awesome is that?
You can also, if you want to, you could do the same thing that we did for the XP field, and just change the XP needed field also to gem edit only if it really bothers you. In fact, I would probably set it to read only because nobody needs to change it. You're doing it programmatically anyway, so.
Right, if you have this extension installed, there should never ever be a reason to even change this number. And this number is only editable by the dungeon master. And that's what triggered me asking for this in the first place was, and it hasn't just happened one time. I mean, in the 4 years I've been DMing with Fantasy Grounds, it's happened dozens of times. But one recently which really set me off because I was trying to tell the poor player was an innocent new player and didn't really know the difference, and I was trying to verbally communicate how to do it, and I somehow led him to believe that the opposite was true, and he was in here trying to set this number, the next level number, in the XP, and he changed his XP, and we did have no fucking clue what his XP was, so I just had to guess. But if a player accidentally, or in some cases, cheating bastardly, goes in here and tries to change this, they won't be able to do it. So they're not going to be able to cheat, and they're also not going to be able to mess up by mistake. Now the DM, the DM can go in there and, whoops. Oh, this is the player side. I can't keep track. Wait, which is the DM's? Oh. You know why? If you go here, it's like, say there's a number in there like 10,000, and the DM, and you go and click on this field and try to change it, but you type ERTY on the keyboard, that doesn't do anything. You have to chat 5, 6, 7 like that. Just so you guys know. This is awesome. I'm so thrilled about this. And now you're going to show me how to zip it up into an ext file, which I think I know how to do, and we're going to give it to everybody. So let me see if I'm right. I zip these 3 files into a file and I rename it .ext, and then we're done.
Yes.
Do it. Now we're going to call this 5E. Is there a dash in the file name or no?
The file name can be anything you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Just don't use ampersands and stuff because it gets kind of pissy on some operating systems.
Okay, so next.
The file name, and here's the irritating thing. The file name does not need to match the name of the extension.
Okay.
Which is kind of irritating, especially when you're trying. Yeah, it should. Like, if we can make a standard, I would like that to be the standard.
Yeah.
Because it's irritating when you're trying to actually go and find, the extension, and you know what the name of the extension in Fantasy Grounds is and stuff, but it's actually called something different, and it becomes a very large frustration.
And maybe people don't want to be verbose in their file names, but you tell me if you went and found this extension and didn't know what it was, 5E next level XP automated and DM XP edit only. Tell me you wouldn't fucking know exactly what that does. That's what I want to call it. Do you think that guy is too crazy to call it that?
No, absolutely not.
All right, now you guys haven't put this on the forums, have you?
No.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go and put it on the forums so everybody can get it.
So you're going to maintain this, right, Rob?
I'm going to maintain it. You know why?
Next core RPG comes out, FGU comes out, you're going to keep it up.
Yeah, I'm going to figure it out. what is what you're saying that you'd like to put on the forums under your name? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
no, 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 no,
I'm,
no.
I'm
I'm just
backing
telling you when
myself
you
into a
do
hole.
that, that's the expectation.
Yeah, maybe I don't want to do that. Well, okay. What the only thing I'm really concerned about is just everybody who's watching the show that thinks it's cool, they can get it.
Well, you
Absolutely,
can post
I
it,
would do it for
but
that for
also
sure.
other people can edit it as well and add updates, etc.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the forums and I'm going to create an entry. I'm going to say this is an extension I made. This is an extension I had nothing to do with making. This is an extension that Diablo Bob and Celestia made, and that I'm posting it, and we did it on the show, and I know nothing. And please don't tell me to fix it. You know, I don't know. We'll figure out what I say. Let's go do it. Get all part of the thing. We're gonna do it live. Everybody's watching. All right. So Fantasy Grounds. Fantasy Grounds forums. Where would you? Let's see if I can. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm trying to figure it out. You post it in. Extensions. Right, so that's the sticky if it makes the cut by Zacchaeus. But here we go. You just post it like that. Okay. So I'm gonna create a thread called extension and then the thing in here. Is that what I do? You guys like it?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Sure.
All right. I just want to check with you guys. Extension. 5e next level XP automated and DM edit only XP. Hey everyone, I'm posting this extension because we made it live on episode 75 of All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show. Diablo Bob and Celestian are the engineers. I am the moron who followed instructions. This extension will auto update the next level XP when a PC pulls up. It will also make the XP number itself uneditable by players. I know there might be spelling issues here as I'm typing. I'm not looking, I'm typing. Okay. Were the engineers? Yeah, fucking ignore. Itself uneditable by players. Okay. Auto update. Good. Now we should take a screenshot maybe. This put in a class and oh, you know what? $141,237. So screenshot that. All my process, everybody. Put it in Paint because it's easy and fast. That.
And Bob has some follow-up stuff you can add to it, like fancy little icons, and he wanted to add some stuff for the CT stuff too, that you could do some jazz in the combat tracker. So
Yeah.
you can definitely follow up and add more stuff to it.
My ideas for the CT tracker is basically if your party, like for other people, like for obviously for pickup games. If two people want a short rest, but one person doesn't, you'll be able to right-click their entry in the combat tracker, and on the right-click menu, you'll actually have the rest option. And that's actually a pretty quick thing to do. We won't go into it, on stream.
Right.
Um, but either I could add it in or provide it as a separate extension if you wish.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
However, literally it's you right click on the CT entry, like your character in the combat tracker, and the little rest option comes up. You click on that and you choose short or long, and there you go. It gives it to them. For other people it would be useful because, say, if the party gets split up or they go to like different towns, or say somebody isn't able to make it there and the explanation is, oh well, he slept in and etc., or he went over here and went, slept at the inn or something like that, you can split. Like, you don't have to give the entire party rest, and you don't have to actually go through and each person that actually received a rest go into their character sheet to do it, etc. You can just do it right there without messing the flow of the game. Additionally, for other DMs, it would be like, hey, the rogue snuck out at night and did this other thing, so he only got a short rest.
Yeah.
You could just
That's
click it
cool.
right there.
Now, is that you're talking about? That's going to be part of what you're doing on the on your other thing, though, like just on your ongoing things for critically awesome essentials. Is it not?
I was actually thinking, if you wanted it, I could actually provide the script to you for this extension.
Oh, I mean, to me, this is this thing. This extension does this thing, and then that would be like another thing, right? Like they don't necessarily logically go together. I mean, maybe they do, and I just am crazy, but
Well, it's easy. I mean, this extension that we showed how to create and all that stuff, um, you know, on the stream, it was for this purpose. The one thing that I would actually like you to add in there is, actually, why not add your icon to the announcement when you load it? Do you want to put a little
oh,
picture that pops
yeah,
up?
okay, we can do that. I don't. The thing is that if we start tweaking it, and which I would love to do, but I don't want to do that on stream. I want to, we're already at an hour and 10 minutes, so I want to try to just get this done, and then I can go back
It would
and make it
literally
fancy
take
later.
about like 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it then.
So go to your extension.xml.
All right. Extension. What? Why did I fuck? Okay, I know what that happened. Okay, just calm down.
All right.
So you want me in the file we were in to begin?
Yep. So it's under extensions. Go into your.
Where the fuck? Oh, campaign. Wait, now see, I see. See, I'm already lost.
Okay.
So you want me to open the file we just made, the extension we just made?
Yes, the folder that the extension was in.
Oh, okay, here we go. Yep, it's here.
Okay. Now create a folder that's called graphics.
Small g, small g, small g. Don't do it capital. Don't fuck up. Okay.
Now in that folder, make a folder that's called icon, or icons, plural.
Okay.
Okay, and in that folder, put the image that I just messaged in Discord. It's a little 32 by 32 pixel version.
Can I copy that image and paste it? That's not gonna work. I gotta download it or something, don't I? I'm all of a sudden freaking out on how to do the most basic thing in Windows. Yeah, it doesn't. I can't paste it. I can't.
Yeah, you'll have to download it.
Yeah. And I don't. Can I download it? Does it let me download it?
Open original and save as.
Okay. Okay, done.
Okay, so now go to your extension.xml. open that. And, okay. Now you're going to paste something. Below the announcement, you're going to paste that. It's just simply icon, name, and then the file.
Fuck, I don't know what program I'm in. Below the announcement.
Yeah, within the base tag. So if you scroll down,
Okay.
you'll see base.
Right.
So right there, so it's an asset, so you're adding that to your base. So just create a new line below base and paste that in.
Well.
Now, right above that where it says font equals emote, you see where that says there? After that, you'll have a space, and then you're going to type in icon equals, quote, Rob Toohey with a capital R, quote.
Okay. Boom. Do I need a space before the slash?
Yes. Okay, now save it.
Click it, lock it, save it.
Because that adds the icon to the announcement, and then it also identifies the image as that icon. So when you launch it in Fantasy Grounds, you'll see your nice little picture right next to the announcement for the extension.
So zip it up. Rename it to what I like. .ext. Yeah. Put it in the extensions folder. Bravely erase all of this. I better not do that. All right. That.
I would test it before you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Post it.
I'm gonna test it.
In that case, you could have just /reloaded. By the way,
okay, yeah.
Because you already had the extension.
I already had the file name in there. All right, okay.
Yep.
Now look at there's two of them. See, which one takes?
One's the folder, one's the file. I think.
So they're both the same. You know what? Let's get brave. Get brave. Let's not fuck around. No, I can't. I can't reload because I'm not inside. So I'll just restart it. That's not the right one. Fucking OBS. Fuck you and fuck you. All right, here we go. This is me yelling at myself for starting the wrong.
I was laughing. I muted myself.
Well, because you guys can see when I do it, you guys know exactly what I did. Everybody watching knows exactly what button I pushed the wrong way. Knucklehead 38. Fuck you and fuck you. He quoted me.
You're cool.
I told myself to fuck off twice in a row. That's how you do it. Alright, so when this loads... Oh, snap! It says nothing extension.
Because you didn't actually change your announcement.
I didn't?
No, you changed the name. You didn't change the announcement.
Okay.
Yeah, that piece you didn't change, but you did change the text that appears when you're loading the campaign.
Okay. The file...
Because you deleted it. Go ahead and Control Z on the extensions folder. Undelete it. I go back to your notepad.
So
Okay.
what didn't I? It says
scroll down.
Scroll
down where it says announcement text. This is what comes up when you actually load.
Oh, we never did change that. Okay.
Nope. Now the /R is XML
return. Yeah, right. So
what do you want to name it?
XP next level XP. We're just gonna call it that. Next level XP extension version 1.0 5e version for Fantasy Grounds by
Rob Tui.
You don't want you guys' name in there? We should do it.
And change the
No, it's
date
all
to the
yours, man.
21st.
Okay.
Click save.
Now we're gonna go do this.
Now, Fantasy Ground, if you just click the reload, it'll then populate.
I gotta get in. I get in the habit of. Do I still have it in memory? I do. Nice. Okay.
You don't need to move it. Leave it there. Leave it there.
Well, but yeah, I know, but
He's going to delete the folder.
Yeah, I'm gonna get crazy again.
What I was going to suggest is not delete it, and
Right.
that way you could just, if you wanted to come back and tweak it later, you could.
Well, but the reason I'm doing that is, oh well, we're inside. Yeah, okay. Well, let's just see. The reason in my head I have to delete the folder is I can't have Fantasy Grounds think there's a folder and an extension, and now there's two versions of it, so that see, it still didn't work. What the fuck?
Because you didn't overwrite the extension.
I did overwrite it. Right here, 7:21, 7:15 p.m. and it's now 7:16. That's an overwrite.
My suspicion is you probably, well, I don't know. I can't read the folders
again.
Yeah. Wait.
Normally when that happens, that means that either it didn't reload appropriately or it's
I just want
loading out of memory.
I want to test a theory. I just want to test it. I want to reopen Fantasy Grounds and see if it'll give me. Yeah, there's still two of them. Oh, because I undeleted the folder. Okay, so back again and go back and do what I would like to do. Do what everybody hates that I do this. Delete the folder. Start Fantasy Grounds over again and see if it works.
Now this is actually showing the frustrations when you're trying to polish extensions, things like that. Doing little tiny minor tweaks sometimes can turn into a large frustration. And this is honestly more common than what I would prefer. But the thing is it is part of, programming.
Right. It's the same with, there we go, Next Level XP extension, version 1.1. 5e version for Fantasy Grounds by Rob Tui. Year, month, day. Yeah, it's the same with module creation. You're done, you test it, you error check it, and then you reload it, and then you load it again, and now it doesn't work. What do you mean? It worked a second ago. What happened? Yeah, it's the same. All right, this is very awesome. Okay, here we go. Back to this.
There you go.
Wait, back to this. Turn that off, turn this on, turn that right here. Okay, so now we're going to put in, we're going to go to advanced. How do you do this? Manage attachments. The file.
And Drake /reload does work when you change functions and stuff within the scripts inside the folder. But mainly when you're dealing with inside the folder.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, then we're gonna go up here. We're gonna put it right here like this, and we're gonna go like that, and we're gonna go like this, just to give people an idea. When I say
Walking Dude, if you have a .ext inside the extension folder, it will actually read both.
What he's asking is I was talking about where to put the extension file of something that you're uploading but you don't use. What I generally do is, like in his case, I would have left a blank extension folder there with all the working stuff that we built, leave it there, and then I go into the blank extension folder, zip all the stuff that's in there, and then I leave the named ext file right there, because it doesn't matter at that point. When it's inside that folder, it doesn't matter. But if you bring it up to the top and put it in the extension folder on top of, so you have the folder and that, then you have some problems. You don't want to do that.
Oh, so yeah, if the exe file is in the folder, Fantasy Grounds isn't even looking at it.
Right.
It's looking at the folder and the files in the folder. Right. Okay, that's a
Right.
great point. That's a little programming thing. I have a two-dimensional mind. I can't think of shit like that. All right. So anything else I need to say here, everybody? Hey, everyone, I'm posting this extension because we made it live on episode 75 of All Things Fantasy Ground Talk Show. Diablo Bob and Celestian are the engineers. I am the moron who followed instructions. This extension will auto-update the next level XP when PCs level up. It will also make the XP number itself uneditable by players. Only the DM can make changes. And then I put a picture of, to show people what I mean by next level XP right there, right? Anything else? Is that good? Do I do it?
I would probably add to the tags prom date. They can search prom date and find your extension.
That's fucking amazing. Let's do it. All right. I'm gonna post it. So everybody can go download this now. Boom. I don't like that it has a file picture thing. I don't like that. I don't like that with that broken link. I don't know why that's like that. Do other files have broken link picture like that? What does that even mean?
I wish I could tell, because I cannot even see what you're talking about.
So you know how when you go to a web page and there's supposed to be a picture there, but it's just like a little teeny picture that's like broken and it has a hill and a yellow and a cloud. You've seen it a million times in the last 20 years. That appears right before the file thing. Better yet, just here, I'll send you guys this in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll post the link and I'll look at it.
So if you guys don't want to track that down that's watching in the stream, there's the link right there. So you know how it says...
it looks like a normal .ext.
Yeah, but that file type ext, that little picture there, that little blue and green, that to me represents a broken image link.
What browser are you using?
Yeah, because that's not what I see. I posted a picture of what I saw.
Oh yeah, see right to the left of file type, I have that. I'm using Chrome.
Okay. In Chrome, you're probably going to want to scroll down to the bottom and use desktop version, if that's an option. I forget where exactly it shows. But if you use the desktop version, you should be able to open up the page with the actual link corrected. I ran into this a while ago because if I was using Chrome, I wasn't able to download the extensions, but if I use Firefox, I could, and I was like, "What the hey is going on?" And I did some research and I found out Chrome during and some like forums and stuff actually views it as a mobile site, and
it's giving me two standard styles, FG responsive and FG quick 2, and then it gives me a mobile option as well. So I'm using FG responsive. Both of them do it for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I loaded it up in Chrome. It looks the exact same way. It's broken.
Okay. So, but
That's
that
not
doesn't
issue.
affect anything, right? It's just, I mean, people can
No,
still
it doesn't.
download. All right, who cares? Awesome, everybody. It's done. Siri, what are your questions?
That's assuming I understood anything of what happened.
Right? Like I'm going to say I'm 60% proficient in what we just learned. And that if I took the time to study it and like these guys did, just crack open other extensions and look to see how they are made and what they're doing, and then you can kind of understand, oh, I see this calls this and this changes this and this replaces that and this adds to this. You can kind of sort of get it. It would take me a long time. It would take me months and months to start to really be able to do something. But this is super cool. Yeah, it is super cool. Did
so
Zacchaeus post it yet?
2 links.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I just posted 2 links in Twitch. What those links are is, and I'm sure Celestian knows those 2 links very well, at least one of the links very well, is one of the links is to the Fantasy Grounds ref doc. That's basically if you want to find out what primary functions that Fantasy Grounds has. Um, say if you want to create a radial menu or item or something like that, or if you want to mess with tokens and windows and all that stuff, it has the direct call out callouts listed in there. So you can go through there and kind of like find out like, okay, I want to mess with the radial menu, like when you right click on the background or something. So you can go through there and you can find the actual call out for, which is actually registered menu item, stuff like that, and it has context on like explanation of, okay, well, it requires these two variables, or it requires this variable and this target. um it's a stepping stone. It basically is how you start with specific callouts and stuff in Fantasy Grounds. When you get very fluid at it, you're still going to be searching it. Anyway, the other
Yeah.
one is actually a very, very basic programming in Lua, free. It's by the people who make Lua. It's basically their programming in Lua first edition, and it's online and it's free. It's a great reference when you start getting into learning how to program Lua. Um, it has been very useful for me when I started getting into Lua before I even came over to Fantasy Grounds. Um, so that is a useful reference. So if you want to find out how to concatenate or something like that, that shows how. You can
Cool.
search through there and kind of get the reference.
Awesome. Well, this is
I've
awesome. I almost I hate to say this. I'm very scared. I'm scared as I've ever been in 75 shows to say this. But in the chat, does anyone have any questions? Oh man, I shouldn't have even said that.
I want to say one of the biggest, I think the biggest thing that'll help you the most is have something you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't do this just because you want to. I don't know. You just half-ass want to pick something that motivates you. You have to have this thing. If you do that, then you can figure this stuff out. If you're just really kind of let somebody else do it, just don't break your brain over it. It's not gonna
Right.
be worth it.
My recommendation is basically right, like Celestian hit it right on the nail. Um, I'm just really, really stubborn, and when I get an idea in my head, I just basically just keep going for it until I get it. Um, and having that kind of mentality when you stay focused and motivated, having an idea of what your end goal is will get you through the times when you're like, screw it, it's not working. I've been working on this for 3 days. I've posted on the forums, and that's another thing. Post if you run into walls and stuff, post on the Fantasy Grounds forums. It's a great community of people um, who help everybody out. Like Damned is one of them. The Moon Wizard, Celestian, Trenlow. There's a group of
Oh yeah,
very, very
there's
gifted
about half a
programmers.
dozen, exactly. There's about half a dozen or 10 hardcore people who
Yeah,
not only know
and
what they're doing but are very willing to help, and they're very, the Fantasy Grounds community is, oh, I mean, I'll start crying. It's amazing.
yeah,
Um
it's
yeah.
a great community. Um, do not feel as though you have to like, be super humble to post on there or something. Like if you're just having a problem with like your function or something, you're like, hey guys, I'm having some problems. This is what I'm trying to do. Here's my little code snippet. What am I doing wrong?
Right.
Like, yeah, they're really great in helping you out, trying to lead you to the right answer. Or if it's something like, hey, you put that local variable in the wrong spot, so it's trapped inside of an if statement instead of your function. They're great at helping you out with that too, and they don't ask for anything else in return. They just help people out. It's
Yeah.
great.
Well, I mean, the shining example of that is you guys, said that you would come on the show and walk me through this live on television, almost per se. Watching live audience. And so that was really great of you to do that, and I'm very appreciative of the both of you for not only today, but obviously for, we've been working together and doing projects and stuff, and you guys are really great. And it is, you're just, you two guys are a shining example of the community at large, at least as far as Fantasy Grounds and this forums and the group of people. And then in the Fantasy Grounds Discord and wherever all these other people are hanging out, communicating ideas and stuff. And I mean, this is fantastic. And I'm sure, even though I'm refreshing the page and it says 0 views, I'm sure there's something wrong. That can't be true. But I'm almost positive many people, almost any DM who DMs 5e should want to have this. I don't know why they wouldn't. Some extensions people make are like, oh, that's really cool, but I don't see using that in my game. Or, I don't really go there with this, but this is a totally universal. I'm imagining there wouldn't be a DM who plays 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons that couldn't use this. I mean, it's pretty awesome. So good. Well, so I guessed enough. You guys are awesome. Fury Fate, do you have any final words you would like to ask, say, or do before the end of the show?
I'm kind of curious what next extension we'll make on the show together.
Oh my God!
Sure
well, it'll be whichever. It'll
like
be the one you come up with,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
It'll be episode 175 is what we're gonna shoot for another 100 episodes.
Well, Celestian is actually the one who came up with this idea. Actually, during what was it, a pickup game? And
yeah,
he messaged and was like, "Hey, what do you think about?"
It might have even been the time, because this was only a couple weeks ago, and it might have been that Celestian,
he messed it up.
You were in the chat, and that guy messed up his XP, and I freaked out. I'm like, I don't know how to help him. I can't remember what it was. We're just gonna have to guess. And
it was either that show or the next one.
And I said, I wish there was a thing that you, And then you guys said, oh, hold on, we can do that in 5 minutes. And then I was like, let's just do it on the show. And I mean, I know you guys, you made it before the show tonight. You made it previously, like a couple of days or a week ago, or whatever. But it was awesome too, and it was a little simple thing. We could do the whole thing beginning to end on the stream and get it all in 90 minutes. So that's awesome. It's pretty awesome. I've said the word awesome about 65,000 times tonight.
So my question is I know you said that you felt overwhelmed and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When we were explaining through what we were doing, kind of what you were looking at and stuff, I guess as a, like, say if you were a viewer watching this, like, how did you feel, or was there any tips that you would give to somebody who's getting into this from a newbie perspective?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Initially, when you guys started in, I was like, oh no, I'm just gonna get lost. And then I kind of calmed down, and I just mentally accepted that I'm probably not gonna get 100% of what you guys are saying, but let me try to listen and watch and observe and participate and learn and get as much as I can. And then after we went through parts of it, I started to learn and retain information. Now, the fact that I've done Fantasy Grounds modules programming before, and I've been inside of XML files before, sort of gave me a bit of an advantage on that. But I was trying to think in terms of viewers who might be seeing this and never have seen the inside of an XML file and be like, what the fuck is all this shit? I don't know what to do. But like Celestian said, you kind of have to have a little bit of a background and at least know even the most basic thing about like what an if-then statement does, or what variables mean and what they're, what that calling something from a table, and it can get really to use a phrase that Celestian likes, in the weeds. It can get really deep into like super detail, and that's not my mindset a lot of times, and so I have to take time, and I have to go over things a few times and relearn it. So yeah, but as far as advice to viewers, I think it depends on that person. I think it's an individual call as to how they learn and how interested they are. But I do believe that what you guys sort of communicated as a whole message here in the last 90 minutes is that if you have a passion for wanting to learn it and for wanting to make an extension in Fantasy Grounds and do a special thing that you'd like to see the program do that it doesn't do, you can, rewatch this show. You can go onto the forums and ask questions, and you can just try and just trial and error. I mean, almost everything I've ever learned in computers, including all my spreadsheet shit in Excel and everything I've learned in XML and how to make a module for Fantasy Grounds. I mean, it took me years, but I did teach myself. I didn't take a class. I mean, I just did it all myself, and I was asking questions and sort of looking at other people's work and saying, oh, I see how that works. So yeah, it's just a matter of, I think the place to start is you really have to want to do it. You can't just be like, maybe I'll give it a shot. You have to really want to do it. And then if you do, just don't give up and ask for help. Ask people. And I guess that would be what I would say about that.
Now, there's a lot of times where I'll be working on something, and I tell you, and I swear to God, when I first started this, I spent 90% of my times trying to get windows to appear where I wanted them to, or text where I wanted it to be. And to this day, I mean, it wasn't until I started working on the combat tracker rewrite for the 8ND rule set that I felt like I had a decent grasp of anchors. And that kind of stuff, you'll find one thing that just really will just be your button that you can't figure out. And you get on the forums, you post the code, and some other guy and a damned will call it talking to the rubber duck. It's kind of a thing. It's you're as you're explaining it, a lot of times you'll figure out where the problem is. You'll see it yourself, and you can just delete the post. But if you can't, just having another pair of eyes, just run over that code and see, oh, right there, bam, there's your problem. They're not looking at it with the same head that you are. You've looked at 500,000 times, and they've looked at it once and they're like immediately they'll see the problem.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
doesn't always happen, but you can get lucky.
That's happened a lot too. Like I usually try. Zacchaeus is a pretty good expert on Par 5e, and because he makes all the WotC modules and stuff, and so he knows what's up with that. And I try not to bug him. I try to really solve every problem I can before I have to go to him and say, okay, I've exhausted everything. I don't know what to do. Can you help me with this? And he'll be like, oh, semicolon instead of a colon. I'm like, damn it! And then,
exactly that.
But and he'll in 3 seconds he's already emailed me back and said, yeah, here it is. And so
JPD does that all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you guys are stuck, if you're wanting to get into this and make extensions, and get into the back end of Fantasy Grounds, there's many people out there. These two guys on the show now, but I mean, just go to the forum and type in your problem, and 18 people will read it, and 3 of them will tell you, hey, I can help with that.
Alley Oops on the Twitch was actually asked a question of where's the place to start. Honestly, there's 3 ways to answer that question. One is come up with an idea that you want to do. And that's really the place to start, is because if you know what you want to do, finding the answers is easy versus like just kind of like going through the motions, just trying to make something awesome, but you're kind of drifting from idea to idea. Staying focused is a very key thing. Secondly is your resources. Your resources are like the ref doc. Damned did a great set of videos that shows a whole bunch of different stuff on like how to plug and play different sections and stuff. And then of course the Lua references and things like that. And then your next place to start is create your extension.xml and just start plugging away at it and keep going and try not to get too frustrated and don't give up.
Right. Very good. So I'm super happy we did this. Excited about next week's show as well, the FGC 2nd anniversary, and some upcoming shows. We're going to talk about the Morecore rule set. We're going to go over the Dungeon Master's Forge. We're going to do talk about Call of Cthulhu with the COC crew. And we're going to showcase Diablo Bob's One Click More. Now, that's That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks away, but it's already for sale on the DMs Guild, so you guys can go check it out. But we'll go in depth to it by that time. By the way, let's check that. By the way, one click more, which is the follow up to One Click Druid, is on sale now at the DMs Guild for $4, and the next 9 copies will be the next 9 copies sold will be $4. Then it's going to go to $5. So if you don't have it, and you're thinking about
we've already sold that many.
Getting out, yeah, we've sold 41 copies since last night. Everybody loves Diablo Bob. I put something on the DMs Guild that's mine. 2 copies. Next day, a copy. Diablo Bob's the man. All right. So yeah, on the August 25th, we'll go over that in depth, and then by then you might even have something else to talk about. We might even change the title. We might go to the next one if he's already done. Who knows what Diablo Bob's doing? You're helping me. So, any final questions, guys? Please type those in the chat, and we'll answer them. Otherwise, we're going to shut the show down. Did either one of you two gentlemen have anything else you would like to say, or anything you think we missed, or an important thought, or did we do it all?
I wanted to say thank you, and there was a lot less swearing than I was expecting.
Well, fuck. I'm sorry about that. I try to get the profanity in, because as you know, the Harvard University study says people who use profanity are smarter.
I must be a genius.
I told him, fuck you, that study. So good.
I had one thing I wanted to bring up.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I mentioned it. As part of discussion we had, but I am rewriting the combat tracker for the AD&D rule set. If you use the AD&D rule set, please, and I'm going to post the link to the forum post, get in there and try it out, because if I don't have any major complaints, which I haven't yet, in fact, I've had no bug reports, so I can't be that good. I want to put it out July 30th, if at all possible.
Okay, yeah, so you heard him, guys. Get in there and let him know what's up with that. There's the link right there.
That's the YouTube direct if you're banned on the forums, nutcases.
All right, and with that, I guess we'll close out the show. Let's see. There will be a show next week, because we're going to the Orlando Alpha Party, which is Thursday, and then I'm staying an extra day with Drake and Marbani and Babunski. We're gonna play games on Friday, and then I'm coming home Saturday, so I will be here for the show next Sunday. So it's gonna happen. Other things might not be happening. You guys can check the schedule, but this show will happen again next Sunday. Hopefully, Leroon will be back. What the fuck was he doing today? We don't know. So thanks to Celestian, and thanks to Diablo Bob. And thank you very much to my co-host, Fury Fate, as always. And thanks to all of you for watching. And until next time, good gaming, everyone.